Yo, how's it going, YouTube? This is Vinny and I am back with another video, and today I am coming at you with yet another EVE Online episode, and I'm going to be introducing you to yet another brand new ship. And this is a ship that I have acquired pretty recently, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I've been using it to run level 2 security missions in order to get my standings up with some of the factions. That is pretty much it's a requirement for my corporation, so I've been working on it very hard nowadays. Also, just as an update, I have actually gotten a alt account. I'm going to be pretty much mining with that, and I've come up with a plan for the future, actually, for my account. And the plan is that I am going to be sticking to PvE. So I am going to be doing a lot of mission running, a lot of incursions, and a lot of industry type stuff. So on both accounts, because I will be running missions on both, I have planned to split them up into 2 different races. So for this specific main account that I'm on right now, showing you this ship in this video, I'm going to be doing Amarr ships and Galente ships, and then on the other account I'm going to be sticking to Caldari and Minmatar, and I'm going to try and get them all the way up to battle ships and specialize in all of the different weaponry that is specific to the different races and their ships when it comes to their traits and their boosts. So that's the plan for now. I have no idea how long that's going to take. Probably a long ass time, so you gotta bear with me when it comes to that. But as of right now, this is the new ship right here. This is an Amarr Cruiser. Something to keep in mind, there are different tiers of ships. So if you start off with the frigate, you move to the destroyer, then the cruiser, the battle cruiser, battleship, and then it goes into the capital ships and the super capital ships, the titans and dreadnoughts and all that kind of stuff. There's also pirate faction ships, and there's just a large variety of ships out there. And I'm hoping one day I can actually collect them all, but who knows how long that's gonna take. As of right now, I'm right here with the Amarr Cruiser, also known as the Maller, which I have named Mallinator. Makes sense to me, you know, Mallinator. Let's do it out. So, I'm still focusing on using lasers, of course, because this is an Amarr ship, and still, the Amarr ships do not cease to amaze me at the appearance. The aesthetics of these ships are just ridiculous. I really love these ships, so I'm really happy about my choice still. And this ship just looks friggin' awesome. So I'm really happy about that. There are some advantages and disadvantages when you're using cruisers in level 2 security missions, because that's what I'm using this ship for pretty much all the time, really. The advantages: a lot more DPS. It also has a drone bay, so I have some drones equipped in this ship as well, so I have a little bit of help from them. And that's pretty much it. You know, it's a bigger ship, it's bulkier, it's tankier, it has a lot more hit points in order to destroy the ship. You know, it's very difficult, especially if you have the right fittings and you have a good build going on. Because another thing to keep in mind is that all these ships that I've been showing you have been built for mission running, the combat ships at least. So there's going to be different fittings for if you want to do incursions, if you want to do PvP, if you want to do ratting, anything really. If you want to be a freighter, there's going to be different builds, different modules to be used to maximize performance, and you know, it just it differs a lot. So keep that in mind. These are all fittings for missions. Speaking of fittings, we're going to go ahead and get into the fittings right after I talk about the disadvantages, because I forgot that. Yeah, shit. Okay, so disadvantages about using a cruiser in the level 2 missions. Because it's a bigger ship, it goes slower. Most of the time in level 2 missions, you go up against frigates, and frigates are very fast. So if frigates start orbiting you, they're moving faster than you. They're smaller targets, so sometimes it gets pretty difficult to actually hit the frigates, and that's where the drones come in handy, because you can send those drones out to attack the frigates, and they can slowly poke them down to death, pretty much. But you got to keep an eye on your drones because you don't want to be losing drones. So as soon as they are receiving damage to their armor hit points, I would highly recommend to return those drones, those specific drones, not all of them at once, but the ones that are losing life points very quickly, return them to the drone bay, wait 10 seconds so that the aggro switches back to you because you can take a lot more hits, and then you can send those drones back out and start poking at the ships again. So that's a little tip that my corporation helped me out with. It's definitely been helping me out, so hopefully it helps you out. We're gonna jump into the fittings now, and let's get all that fitting information up here. Where's that other window? There we go. This is pretty much the fitting that I'm using, and if you couldn't tell already, there's a lot of similarities with the modules that I'm using on this ship compared to the modules that I was using on the Amarr frigate or the Punisher or SS Maximus. I love that name. It's friggin' cool. But yeah, there's a lot of similarities, because this is the basic build for the Amarr Cruiser. Pretty much everything is tier 1 for the modules, and I'm working on upgrading to tier 2 modules because that will add a lot more bonuses to the ship and will up pretty much all the stats. But yeah, that's in the works right now. As of right now, this is the fitting that I'm working with, and it has not failed me, not even close. You know, there has been some close calls that I was getting a little frustrated because I couldn't hit the frigates, but then I realized I got drones, and I sent them out, and everything was good. So we're gonna go into the fittings a little bit. If you haven't watched the Punisher episode, when I went into the fittings for the Punisher, I suggest you do so because there will be more information on these fittings. I'm just going to go into it very quickly because they are very similar. So here we go. Pretty much the rig slots, the low slots, and the medium slots are pretty much spot on similar, except for a couple of differences when it comes to the Punisher. For the rig slots, I'm going to go over here to this side. We have the medium auxiliary nanopump 1 and 2 medium capacitor control circuit 1s. Now, the only difference between these modules on this ship and the modules on the Punisher is that these are the medium forms and the ones on the Punisher were the small forms. Pretty much the capacitor control circuits, they increase the ship's capacitor recharge rate. And yeah, you know, you recharge capacitor more, so you have the ability to use more of your modules more frequently. You also have the medium auxiliary nanopump, which allows the armor repair tool that we're using in our low power slots to repair larger amounts of armor every cycle. So that's pretty much mandatory because this is more of an armor tanking instead of a shield tanking, because you can go either way, but the armor is more buffed than the shield. You got a lot more hit points to work with, as you can see here. If you look at the shield, it's about 11, oh no, it's about 1050 HP, and with the armor we have 2760, so that's a lot more. So being able to keep that more constant and stable is much more beneficial than keeping the shield going, because that would take a lot more capacitor to just keep up with the damage. That's pretty much the rig slots. Let's move on to the low slots here. We have pretty much the exact same setup except for these two fittings right here, which I'll go into in a second. We have the medium accommodation vestment reconstructor 1, which is the armor repair tool. Yet again, the only difference from the Punisher is that this is the medium version and not the small version, so it heals a little bit more of the armor, pretty much. We have the extruded heatsink 1s. We have 2 of them. This is the exact same fitting that we used on the Punisher. This pretty much speeds up our weapons damage, and it increases the damage and it speeds up the fire rate. That's what I meant to say. Reverse that shit. Okay. We also have these two, which I'll get into in a second, and we also have the beta reactor control capacitor power relay, which was also used in the Punisher, which of course increases recharge rate for the capacitor. That's pretty much our main purpose for that type of stuff. So we're going to go into the medium before we touch face on these. We have the eutectic capacitor charge arrays. We have 2 of them. Use that in the Punisher as well, of course. Increases capacitor recharge rate, and we're using the exact same afterburner as well as the Punisher build, which is the experimental 10M afterburner 1. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of similarities. For the high power, we're running 5 heavy modulated energy beam 1s. This is the tier 1 version of this type of laser gun, and I'm working on getting it to the tier 2 until I can use a battle cruiser. So we'll see how that goes, how long that takes. Now we're going to talk about these 2 fittings right here in the low power, the prototype armor hardeners. We have the thermic and the kinetic hardeners equipped to the ship right now. Pretty much this adds more resistance to that specific type of damage. So we have the thermic and the kinetic. So when these are active modules as well, so you have to turn them on and off. So when you have them on, that will pretty much decrease the amount of damage that you take that has to do with that type of damage. So you have to kind of keep an eye on the missions. For that, I would suggest to use evesurvival.org, and you can search any mission that you get, and it tells you the type of damage that the ships will be dealing to you, and you can swap your hardener fittings on and off. And that being said, I actually have a couple more as well. I have the in my inventory as well. We also have the explosive hardener and the EM hardener. So I have pretty much every single type of damage resist that I could need, and I switch them pretty much every mission that I do, because every type of ship does different type of damage, so it does come in handy. It does eat the capacitor a little bit, so you have to be wary of using it, you know. Maybe run it for 2 cycles, turn it off, let it sit for a little bit, and then run it again, or run your hardeners, turn it off. If you're into your armor and you need to recharge a little bit while the hardeners are off, you can run your armor repair, and then you can turn that off after 1 cycle and then rinse and repeat the process. That's what I've been finding myself doing, and it's been working great. So that's another little tip for you guys. As for the drones, I'm using Hobgoblin 1s. I'm working on upgrading that to Hobgoblin 2s right now. Actually, I'm training light scout drone level 5, and then I have to do Galente drone specialization or something in order to use Hobgoblin 2s. So that's in the process. That's going to be done in a couple of days, and I'm looking forward to that. For the charges, it's pretty much the exact same thing as the Punisher as well, except we're not using the small crystals, we're using the medium crystals. So we have the radio crystals, we have the multi-frequency, the standard, and we have the X-ray crystals equipped to the ship right now. Pretty much they give us a different range on our guns, and they give us a different DPS. So the radio is for long range. It does have a little bit less DPS, but you can start hitting the ships from long range, which is pretty good. From that point, as I'm approaching the ships even further, I usually switch to standard, and then when I get close enough, I switch back to my X-rays and I keep those on. Also, to keep in mind, if you're going into level 2 missions with a cruiser, I would highly suggest getting multi-frequency crystals if you're running lasers, because frigates tend to try and tackle your ship, pretty much getting really close and trying to orbit you very fast, so that it's pretty much goddamn impossible to hit those ships. So multi-frequency is close range, high DPS. So even if you don't hit them very often, when you hit them, you're gonna hit them. So yeah, do that. That is pretty much the fittings. That is the overview of the ship, a little bit of tips from my own experience, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit of gameplay. I went out on a mission and recorded some gameplay. I'm probably going to cut into some music right here, as I usually do when there's gameplay in the videos. So thank you for tuning in. Rate, comment, subscribe, and there's going to be a lot more EVE Online content coming at you in the weeks to come. So thank you very much, and hopefully you enjoy this video and the gameplay to come in a couple of seconds. Peace!